Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 408 of the Stacey West podcast. I am Ben, back after a couple of weeks away, and I'm joined tonight by Emily. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Ben. You're back. You are back. Bemily is back. Reunited.
Emily is back.
Emily's back. Yeah. How was your holiday? Did you have a nice break?
My holiday was beautiful. I sat by a swimming pool and I sat on a beach. And I drank lots of all-inclusive cocktails, and I ate lots of all-inclusive food, and didn't do a huge amount else, to be honest. We went and saw the old town in Rhodes, which was very nice. We saw where the Colossus once stood, which was quite interesting. When we booked the holiday initially, a friend of mine said, "Oh, are you going to go see the Colossus?" I was like, "I don't know if that's still a thing." And then sort of, well, if it is, we'll go and have a look. So Googled it, and it was like, no, the Colossus was destroyed in 97 AD or something like that. I was like, oh yeah, it's not there anymore. It's not there anymore. So
you were going on holiday in a time machine. It wasn't a Ryanair flight or anything, or a Jet2. It was
just a DeLorean on the tarmac.
Yeah.
But, no, it was very good. Thank you. Watched the Burton game. Accompanied by a bunch of cocktails by a swimming pool, which was probably the second best place to watch it, apart from maybe Burton itself. But then I don't know. I think most people would probably rather be by a swimming pool watching it.
Yes, I mean I was there and that was great, but feet up by the pool. It's quite a challenger to be in there live. If you're going to be anywhere else, be by the pool.
Absolutely. And I feel like I would be doing our Discord server a disservice if I didn't mention my little faux pas that happened in the Discord. So when the Burton game was on, I posted a photo of a glass. Or no, I think I posted a photo of a glass next to the beach. And I was like, this is where I'm going to be today. Feel for me. And somebody replied with, that looks like Diorolite. Now, I didn't know what that was. So I thought that looks slightly Greek. That sounds slightly Greek. And I've had a few drinks, so I said, no, I'm actually in Rhodes. But yeah, it's gonna. And then basically, the fallout from that was, oh no, Diorolite is, and I was like, oh okay, yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. So
I had a great tit. I had such a titter at that. That was just perfect.
Yeah,
funny.
I was like, it looks like a vaguely Greek word, I guess.
Yeah, what's Diorolite like this time of year, Ben?
I don't know, but apparently it will sort your stomach out. But yeah, no. So what have you been up to this week, Emily? Apart from football, obviously.
Apart from football, oh dear, not a great deal of anything too exciting. I have to say, just been working from home most of the week. So that's kind of been it. There's not been a great deal to report on, to be honest, since I last spoke to everybody. But what about since you've got back? Have you been to the football? And I don't know, any other tales for us?
Well, I did text you earlier because we were talking about what was happening on the pod, and I did say that I've spent the afternoon feeling like a 6-year-old, and you said that sounds ominous. It's not ominous. Basically, my mum messaged me when I was on holiday, and she said, "Oh, when you get back, do you want to go to the cinema?" I was like, yeah, I guess. And she said, because the Cinema in the Woods are showing 2 classic remastered episodes of Thunderbirds on the big screen. So yeah, my mum bought us tickets to that. So I spent the afternoon with mum today, sitting in the cinema, looking up at the first 2 episodes of Thunderbirds on the big screen, and I just felt like a child watching it on the big telly in the living room again.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I had a Stingray
Oh, okay.
toy set when I was a kid. I was more of a Stingray gal, but that sounds great. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, it was.
I watched Pocahontas this afternoon.
Oh.
So that was also, made me feel like my younger self, which is nice. Cried at the end, always do.
Philosophy says, "Did the organ appear?" That's a very personal question. No, it was in the smaller cinema, so they had the piano that plays itself. But yeah, no, I think yeah, the main thing to get back from the holiday for is the thing that we're actually going to kick the podcast off with this evening, which of course was the fans forum on Thursday night. I was back in time for that. Myself and Chris went along. We bumped into a few of the patrons of the site, had a good old chat, and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I think we've seen plenty of criticism in the past around fans forums and how it's usually, particularly with other clubs and how it's been with us in the past. You get people sit there, they always ask the same question: why don't you celebrate in front of me? Why don't we leave a man up at corners? What's happening with the toilets? But in fairness to the club, over the past 4 or 5, I think, probably, they've really started to add something a little bit more unique into what people see and what they're trying to define the fans forum as. So for those that didn't go, we'll give a bit of a rundown, but essentially the second half of it is available on the club social media. I think it's on the YouTube channel. I think they put it on Facebook as well. I'm not 100% sure, but you can see the Q&A section on there. And in fairness, most of the questions are actually pretty insightful questions, and I got some good answers out of it. There was a good one about what's happening with the women's team, and there's a question sort of asked about, Michael had said in an interview, we're a selling club, and we sort of said, well, what does that mean? Are we still that way? And it was quite an interesting sort of back and forth. It wasn't just kind of, here is my one question. Okay, cool. Well, we're either going to shut it down or give you enough to go off. It was kind of, there was a bit of dialogue as well, which was quite good. But the thing that I think a lot of the people that went will probably take from it was the bit that irritatingly hasn't been made public. And when I say irritatingly, I mean it's irritating that was the bit that most people are probably wanting to talk about. And there was something that it did get raised in a couple of comments on social media about it. Like Gary put the article up about the fans forum, but essentially the first half of the evening was Jez giving a talk about how the transfer of Ivan Bartholomew came about, and what happened and where we got, how we identified him. Once he'd been identified, how the conversations went with his agents and then the club, and then it was really fascinating to see every stage of a transfer, basically, and how it came about. And I think that the thing was, the first thing that Liam said was, we would appreciate it if the details could stay in the room, and I think that's probably fair enough.
That sounds fair to me. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's it's tactical. I know we talk about tactics on the pitch, but the tactics around spotting players and identifying them and how you lure them, if that's the right word, to your club. Yeah, definitely we want to be keeping that under wraps. That's understandable.
Yeah, and I mean, there was some information in there that you wouldn't necessarily call it confidential, but it's maybe privileged information. There was slides that were shown in the presentation where there was essentially like a list of, these are potential targets, and how many of these potential targets do you think we might be able to go or to go for? And let's be honest with you, Jay Matete was on that list. What they did was they matched a lot of the players that were on the list to a criteria of like, would this person be a Lincoln City fan, a Lincoln City player? you know, they all sort of identify the players, that each member of the coaching staff and each member of the footballing staff basically analyze the player and say, yeah, this is probably where I think they are. Jay Matete was about halfway down the list. The name at the very, very top of the list, because it was obviously ordered by how much people would be in that, Lincoln City player bubble. The name at the very top of the list was Ivan Varlamov. So he was it was very obviously he was our number one target once he'd been identified, and that was quite clear from the presentation. But honestly, just the rest of the presentation around it, like some of the stories that came out of that,
I've heard sort of rumors and all that kind of stuff of the kind of tales around that have come out from the fans forum that sounds very amusing.
The one that we can probably talk about is the one that Jez mentioned on Deadline Day Live. So he came on here and he kind of said a little bit about what happened. It was embellished a little bit and filled out a little bit of the fans forum, but essentially they had to go to Ireland to get the medical done because of the fact that Ivan didn't have a visa for the UK. So obviously EU to EU, he was able to fly to Dublin. So they went over to Ireland, did the medical, and then in order to get some paperwork filed, they had to get to a building before 5 p.m. And get all the paperwork filed. It didn't get all of the paperwork filed because they got their they got it all filed, but then it didn't get scanned and sent off. So they left, and then Jez spoke to somebody and said, "Did they scan all the paperwork in?" And he said, "Well, no, I've still got that here." It's like, they need to do that. So they went back and they got back to the office at 1 minute past closing time. So they were like, "Oh, this is going to be crap. We're not going to be able to do it," because it was the final deadline of the selling club. So it was like, all right, what are we going to do? Basically, there is a security guard for the visa office in Dublin that if he ever comes to Lincoln, I don't think he will ever need to buy a drink. I don't think he will need to buy a ticket to a game. I don't think he'll need to buy a shirt. He is essentially a bit of a hero among the club, and apparently, that he was very pivotal in the whole thing. But the whole talk was just fantastic, and there was lots of little stories like that, which when you put everything together, you realise just how chaotic it could potentially be when you're signing a player that's that high up on your target list. So if anybody didn't get to go, or if anybody looked at it and thought, I'll give it a miss, genuinely, next time there is a fans forum, go, because the tickets are free. It's not, as I saw one person say, it's not elitism. It's not an us and them thing. It's literally the club are putting this on. If you want to go, you can go. And then, hey, if you want to be the man or if you want to be the man or woman that talks about it after the fact, and they've said, "Oh, we'd appreciate it if this stayed in the room." If you want to go and spread that across social media, that's up to you. Like, the people that were there were all very, very interested in the story, and I think the atmosphere in general was just really good in the evening. Obviously, it helps that we're in a good position in the league at the minute, but I thoroughly enjoyed the fans forum. I thought it was great.
Good. Yes, I'd love to go. I'd love to get to one. I think with a bit more forethought and planning, I can make my way down from Nottingham for the evening in Lincoln to do it. I mean, it just sounds like, like you say, just a real insight, and the club wants to give that information to us. They want to show us, what they're working on, how they're working on it, and then like you say, kind of asking everyone to keep it confidential. They're trusting us with some, really quite important information there. So. It does work. It's working two ways. It's great. It's a really good. It sounds like a really good forum, and I didn't actually know it was available online to watch some of it. So I shall probably do that after this.
Yeah, no, definitely. There was one question that did raise a slight chuckle. Somebody said, "Is the interest in Josh Honohan still alive?" And Jez said, "Well, this is being recorded, so I'm not going to answer that question." So I feel that
what you will.
Yeah, I feel that may be something that we could potentially read into, but we'll have to see later on. So, yeah, that was the fans forum. But obviously, it was leading up to um, the main event of the weekend, let's say, the early kickoff. So the guaranteed, boring 0-0 on TV early kickoff that nobody really enjoys, and everybody goes there because it's just shifted the day forward by 2.5 hours. But that didn't happen, did it?
No, it didn't. It is one of those 12:30s that I don't like them particularly. Everyone's hungry because it's a funny time around lunch. But I tell you who was hungry. Lincoln City Football Club. They were hungry for the victory yesterday, and that is exactly what we got, Ben.
Oh, it was beautiful. I wasn't hungry. I still had my curry jacks. Because you've got to, like, as I say, I did use the excuse that I was still on Greece time because obviously they're 2 hours ahead, and it was like, yeah, all right, fine. But yeah, no, I mean I think the first thing that came out, obviously, in prep for it was the lineup. Maybe raised a few eyebrows. I know we've spoken on the podcast before about who do you play out of Draper and House when James Collins is leading the line. And apparently the answer yesterday was yes.
Both. Yeah, exactly. The thoughts were exactly the same. The lineup came out and it was just the question marks is House playing on the left, or how's it going to work? And yeah, it was a inspired move based on his not just his performance, Freddie Draper's performance yesterday. Excellent performances. Reach, obviously, he kept his place from the previous game as well. So keeping Riley Towler to the bench, which is difficult for him because he has had such a good start. But we know Reach is that natural left back. And the only other thing I have to say on the lineup, Ben, was that there was no Thorn in the side.
No.
Had to. Couldn't miss the opportunity. Sorry.
No. Okay.
Sorry,
no.
listeners.
Let's move away from that one, shall we? No. So obviously, no Oscar Thorne in the squad at all. And the one thing that maybe has slipped under the radar, given the fact that we had the result we did, no Rico Hackett in the squad yesterday either.
No, he was ill. I think they said that he'd had an illness all week and was not feeling his best. So yeah, Street came in for him, playing on that right hand side. Also had a good game. I mean, not many every player had a good game yesterday. It was just one of them, wasn't it? I think it was just an out and out excellent day, excellent lunchtime for us all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was. I think prior to the game, I think I'd predicted a 1-1 draw. I think you said a 2-1 win.
I did.
Gaz predicted a 2-1 loss. I think Chris said that we might sort of nick it 1-0, and I think Charlie said 1-1 as well. So, of all of us, optimistic Emily is the one that got the result right. Not necessarily the scoreline, but yeah, no, it was just. I mean, there was a question, or more of a statement in the Discord, and I'm going to butcher this name because I don't know how to pronounce it, and I have asked. But Siegler Kabijler says, "Can we take a moment to appreciate that Skubala lined up with 4 forwards against a team that only 2 seasons ago were in the Premier League? I love that confidence, and I love the fact that it came off." Yeah, I mean, it was a bold strategy, to quote Dodgeball, but it came off.
It did, and I was optimistic because, I think Luton, their fans aren't happy, and I don't think they put in the best performance yesterday. But they aren't. They're not a bad team. You can't sit here and say that they are a Burton or anybody like that. They're not a bad team at all. And yeah, given their pedigree from playing in the Premier League not so long ago, but I didn't think we'd maybe keep a clean sheet. I thought we'd have a tough game, but I just have a confidence in this team to grind out a result at best, or at worst, should I say, grind out a win, a narrow lead, and just hold on to it. That actually isn't what happened at all yesterday.
No.
We had the best case scenario, which is a fantastic 3-1 victory.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, let's go through essentially what happened, because Freddie Draper came out of the blocks like a man possessed yesterday. For that first half an hour, he was absolutely unplayable.
He was.
Obviously he had the assist. He had a shot from distance that was really well saved, and then he had a pretty speculative overhead kick that was a bit of a choice to make, but that forced a save as well. And I just thought he made a real nuisance of himself in the best way possible, because we've obviously seen it over the course of the season where he will make a nuisance of himself and he'll get booked for it, even though 9 times out of 10 he's the one being fouled. But I thought he managed to control the aggression that he has, and just really, really make a statement to Michael Skubala and say, "Hey, don't leave me out of this squad. I'm coming good." And really, somebody said at one point, "Did we sell Norwich the wrong one?"
Well, that one did get a goal yesterday, so
He did, yes.
That's nice for him. But I completely agree. I would go as far as to say I think that's the best I've seen Freddie play in a Lincoln shirt. That first kind of opening half an hour of that match yesterday, he was excellent. He was physical, as you say, in all the right ways, holding off defenders. He looked pacey, even, which I wouldn't normally associate with Fred and his style of play, but he did look to be able, maybe he's using his power there rather than pace to kind of move away from defenders. He was, holding the ball up well, winning aerial duels really well. As you say, he got the assist. He was finding himself in those kind of key positions, in those kind of spaces in and around the 18-yard box, and just looked really skillful. And I know that sounds kind of quite broad, but I think with Freddie, sometimes you can he's a big lad that's strong. And I think you can sometimes you forget that he's really quite good with the ball at his feet, and he's got a little bit of skill as well. So, that pass into House, and I'm sure we'll dissect the opening goal, was excellent. It was pinpoint. And, he, as you said, had a few efforts on target himself, drew an excellent save from the goalkeeper. He had a one header, which I think was more of a comfortable save. And then he had the overhead kick, which if he'd have put that anywhere either side of that goalkeeper, even ever slightly, he wasn't saving it. So yeah, good old Fred. Best game I've seen him have.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we do come to the goal, I think it's only fair that we also talk about Adam Reach's effort, which, it was kind of the traditional Bayliss runs, stops, and then Reach puts initially thought he was going to put a cross in, but that wasn't. He meant to do what he did. Obviously, ball came across and doesn't cannon off the crossbar because it didn't quite have that amount of force. But hitting the bar early on, it showed the intent that we had, and we were there to have a massive go at Luton. It just kind of set the stall out, really, didn't it? I think we started really strongly, and that was epitomised by Reach's free kick early on.
Yeah, completely agree. We always start fast. We start our games fast. That is a trademark of Lincoln City this season. We've seen it time and time and time again. It's obviously something that Skubala likes us to do. And yeah, that was completely just kind of, as you say, epitomised with that effort. It was nice to see the little dummy run, somebody else, not Rico Hackett and Tom Bayliss doing it. Nice to see that they can mix it up in that regard, doing that little dummy run. But it was such a good delivery. And I think, about Adam Reach. Now, on deadline day, I said I was a little bit underwhelmed with that signing. I'm going to eat humble pie, I think, very, very quickly. I probably already am eating humble pie and everything else with custard and ice cream on it. But he looks like he's been here for years.
Yep.
He doesn't look like a new signing that's fitting in, or he just looks like he's been there for years. He looks steady. He looks experienced, which he is. He looks really, he looks a really good player for us. That's just slotted into the squad seamlessly. Looks like he's displaced Riley Towler, who, we know how good he is, and we know how much the club value him as well, because Jez spoke about it on our deadline day live, and he's managed to do that so far, 2 games in a row. Yeah, really another really good performance from him yesterday and previous weekend as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that makes 2 of us now that have been on the record as saying maybe slightly underwhelmed by a signing that's then gone on to absolutely smash it. I remember when we re-signed Conor McGrandles, I said, just in terms of the name alone, I thought that's probably an underwhelming one. You would probably expect, be excited by a new name, but he's come back in and he's absolutely killed it. He was phenomenal. We will come on to man of the match later on, but he was mine yesterday for a reason, because I think he was just outstanding again. So let's talk about the goal, because it was a good one. It started with Conor McGrandles, kind of, looking to maybe play a pass to Tom Bayliss, and then didn't. Played the ball to Fred, who held his man off, and played a wonderful pull through to Ben House, who controlled it really well, because it wasn't a soft pass from Fred. He played it with purpose, and Housey kind of took it in his stride and buried it. I mean, we called Ben House out in some ways on here by saying his goal return's not been all that great over the past couple of seasons. I think there was an allusion to a conversation around, if we'd signed a striker at the same time as we'd signed Ben House, then he would have been a number 10. The fact that we signed a number 10 meant that we would kind of advertise him as a striker. I mean, I'm not too bothered where he plays at this point, as long as he can continue playing like that. I mean, what a finish that was.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was just such a lovely move. It was just the pass from Freddie Draper it just cut through that defence like a hot knife through butter. It was lovely. It was really nice, and the finish. He still had a lot to do at that point, as you say. Controlled it well, just kind of enough to kind of control it, move it away from him, and have the shot. It was an excellent finish, and again another fast start from us to get us that early goal. And looking back on the highlights, you can see the Lincoln City bench, the coaching staff, they're all hugging and high-fiving, and I wonder if that was a move or something they've been working on, and it's obviously come off in the game, because often when you see the coaches celebrating like that, it's something they've been working on. And
yeah,
I mean, it certainly looked the case. There are a couple of occasions where they tried a similar thing. The ball had kind of come off the right hand side from Tendai Darikwa, or I think Bayliss. I've spotted Bayliss do it another time, into Draper in the middle, who's then tried to feed, kind of thread the needle, put it through to Ben House a couple of times, and that time it came off. 1-0 Lincoln. Lovely stuff.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it was something that Michael mentioned in his post-match, where he said it is something that they've been working on. It's something they've been trying. So, yeah, it obviously it's not without its plaudits. It was just really good move, and it again, similar to what happened with Adam Reach's free kick. I thought it just summed up how we were we were attacking the game really well, and it didn't stop that goal was 12 minutes, and then I think there was another 20 minutes or so. We could have gone in 2 or 3-0 up at half time. I thought we were really impressive up until it felt like Luton's keeper Keeley went down at one point, doing the Paul Farman, I think, as we all know it as, and they kind of regrouped a little bit. And after they did that, I think they changed a couple of things up tactically, and they started to come into it a little bit before half time. But even though I say that, they did start to come into it, but they only had 2 shots on target all game. The only one that I can really think of in terms of efforts on the in the first half was the one that got pulled a couple of yards wide from I think 6 yards out. A little bit of pinball, and then there was a good a good effort that went a little bit wide, and that was really the only time I felt threatened by them. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else that they really did in that first half. Can you?
No, it was that first probably 25 minutes of football. Oh, anyway, I said it's the best 25 minutes I've seen Freddie Draper play. I think that's the best 25 minutes I've seen Lincoln City play this season so far. That
100%.
opening, half an hour nearly, we were excellent. The passing was spot on. The press, we know that we press well. We do that well. We did it so well. Luton they weren't doing anything. We completely nullified them. They were coughing the ball up. They were, when their keeper went down and they all went in and had a huddle, me and my dad sort of turned to each other and said, is their manager is Bloomfield telling them to stop kicking it out of play? Because they were just giving the ball away, kicking it out of play. Nothing was coming off for them. And that's, I think they were poor in some areas, but I do think that is down to the way that we played, the way that we harried, the way that we pressed, the way that we moved the ball around them. Didn't give them any options, really. Definitely, just a really good 25 minutes. And then, they did have that little team talk, and they did rally a little bit. I think actually they just ended up having more possession. I think they did pull a save from Wickens. They had they took a quick free kick. They quite like taking quick free kicks, which caught us out a couple of times. And they did that towards the end of the first half, and it was a long range effort, and Wickens just tipped it over the bar. But again, don't think it was a really uncomfortable save for him to make. And if they're going to have pot shots from there, we're limiting them to that, which is great. I think that's their only other shot on target aside from the goal. But yeah, they had possession, but I didn't really feel like they were doing much with it. And I also don't think that's unexpected, because we talk about Lincoln City's fast start, how we like to get things going early, get an early goal if we can. But if we do get that early goal, we are used to seeing us, I don't want to say sit back, because that sounds negative, and people kind of they use that negatively to say we've sat back and invited the pressure. But I suppose we do take our foot off the gas a little bit when we've gone a goal up. We've seen it in these games where we've ground out these narrow wins. We do take our foot off the gas, and we protect that lead first and foremost. We don't go all guns blazing and try and get 4 goals in the first half and see the game out that way. We do it a different way. So yeah, I don't think that kind of switch in them seemingly being more in control of the ball, but I don't think they were in control of the game at that point. That was still very much in our hands. I don't think that was an unexpected turn of events going into halftime.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, that's actually a really good way of putting it. They may have been in control of the ball, but I think we were in control of the game. I really like that. That's really good. I'm going to start using that. Yeah. But going in 1-0 up at half time. I think the only thing that we could maybe feel aggrieved about was that it wasn't more. Like I say, we had a couple of chances. Fred forced a really good save from their keeper from distance, and then, like I said, there was the overhead kick. Obviously, Adam Reach hitting the bar as well. I don't think there would have been any complaints if we went in 2 or 3 up at half time. So, right. What we are going to do is we will talk about the second half after a short ad break, because we've already hit 34 minutes, Emily.
I know. We probably spent most of that talking about Kinema in the Woods or something, didn't we?
Yeah.
But that's just what we like to do. We like to have a chit chat before we get going.
Or Diorolite, yeah, whatever.
Or Diorolite.
Yeah. So yes, we will pop back in a couple of minutes. If you are listening, if you're watching live on YouTube, we'll say hello to those that are here. So we'll see you in a sec. Cool. Moment of silence so I can do my editing, and then let's see who we've got in. So Flossie's in. Good evening, everyone, from a buoyant Flossie household. Yes, I think everyone feels buoyant at the minute. That's a really good word. Andy says evening all from a buoyant imp in Pastyland. There we go. Ian says good evening from a sunny London. It was such a great atmosphere at the bank yesterday. Steve says, well, a Saturday's go yesterday was a pretty good one. Absolutely, it was. Ollie's in. He says, evening all. Steve Barton, he's in. Steve, you're slacking, mate. This was at 6:38, 20 minutes before we went live, and the first message was 6:25. What's going on? I don't know. Kate's in, says, evening from Tromsø in Norway.
Ooh.
Is that Tromsø or How do you...
Tromsø, maybe? Tromsø?
I don't know.
Is it like an
Yeah,
Earth?
let us know. Let us know. Harry's in, says, hi, guys. Who else is in? Tony says, we'll finally be going to my first games of the season on Tuesday and Saturday. What a first game to have. What a first game of the season. Gerard says, evening all, great game on Saturday. Thought the same, went into 1-1. Was thinking hopefully we can hang on for at least a point. We will come to that because, yes, there were thoughts. Malcolm's in, says, hi all. David says, evening all, no sound. I think that was literally just as I was about to hit go. I don't think we'd started just yet. Oh, there we go. All okay now. There we go. Red Wimp says, evening from breezy Suffolk. There we go.
Yes. And can I just say, it's my dad's birthday tomorrow. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mr. M. For tomorrow. Pete Steele's in, says happy Sunday. Flossie says, Ben, that's disgraceful. I'm assuming that is drinking by the pool, which, yeah, fair enough. Johnny Benson says happy Sunday. It is when this happens, mate. It is when this happens. Mick Kennedy says, I'm listening to the podcast in the Philippines. It's 2 a.m. here. Shame on Gary for forecasting a win for Luton. Fantastic performance yesterday. I thought the team were outstanding, 100%. Keith Clifton says, evening to you both. Gaz Nicholson says, watch the edited fans forum, was impressed. Yeah, the Q&A was great. They don't shy away from anything, and even if you go in and ask a difficult question, you'll get a straightforward answer. Neil says, good evening, everyone. Sue is in, says, Jez could be an after dinner speaker. Fans forum improved so much over the past 2 seasons, 100%. Claire Hunsley says, fans forum was fab. If you want to learn more, come to them. Simple. Yeah, can't argue with that one. David Ward says, evening to you both. Ian says, can't wait for the Peterborough match next Saturday. Maybe I should bring a crash helmet after previous crowd trouble. Andy Brown here says, I had us down for a 3-1 Imps win, and he did. He correctly predicted the score. We do have a league table in our Discord now for people who want to get involved and get some predictions in. I don't really want to talk about who's currently top of the table.
Is it Gaz?
No, it's you.
Is it me? What a turn up for the books that is.
Yeah, so it's 1 point for a correct result, 3 points for a correct scoreline, and you're currently 3 correct results and 2 correct scorelines. So you are top of the table with 9 points then.
Oh, if the weekend couldn't get any better. There we go. I am top of the league. Say I'm top of the league.
Jabba the Hutt says, best squad we've ever had in our history, I think. It's arguable. It is absolutely arguable. Matthew Mann says, my Luton friend said that Draper was the one that most impressed them from their perspective. Yeah, and Matt says again, Freddie was hungry yesterday. Absolutely. Pig Spooky, or PLG Spooky, not Pig Spooky. I thought it was... I do apologise. Says, what are we going to do when Jeffries is fit? Such a good problem to have. That was asked at the fans forum, I think. But yeah, when you start to think we've got a lot of players that could come in, this could get interesting.
It stresses me out, Ben.
Yeah. Leslie says, evening, kids. Yeah, evening, Leslie. I think Emily and I had a little chat the other day, and I think it's fair that it's probably fair to say I'm your favourite. That's fine. Pete says Bemily. Pete says Bemily. Yeah, it is the dream team of Bemily. Who else have we got in? Somebody that I want to know who hurt that person. I'm not going to bring the comments up. Let's have a look. Walter says evening from Congleton. Kate says it's pronounced Tromsø. or Tromsø. So
Tromsø.
there we go. You were correct.
Something like that. Scandi.
Andy Kitchen says, it's great times for the club at the moment. Superb performance on Saturday and the world champs at home on Tuesday. There we go. Susie Trio Bar says, evening. Trio Bar. That makes me just think of the chocolate bar. I'm hoping that's by design.
Trio.
Yep, there you go. And MK Spokes says, hey, everyone. Joe Wellborn says, plug the predictions table. It's a game changer. Already done, mate. There we go.
You want to be on the Discord and take part in the predictions league table? Become a patron.
Get on Patreon. Yeah, absolutely. Susie Trio Bar says, I'm Catherine MP, not Susie. Not that it matters. There we go. So that is hello to everybody.
There's a lot of you here.
We will. There's 94 people currently watching. That is
oh
mad.
Oh my god,
that's crazy. So right,
thank you.
We will put a pin in that, and we will come back in and talk about the second half. And there we go. Right. So, thank you to our sponsors for the week. Thank you to everyone that is currently watching live. Loads of people getting involved tonight. There's an awful lot of comments in the live chat. So if you don't watch it live, you probably should. It's really good fun. We have a good laugh. And in the little bit where you hear an advert, we have a bit of banter with the guys in the live chat. So it's all good fun. So let's talk about the second half, Emily. It was, I think we probably hoped for a brighter start than we've seen in some of the second halves so far this season. We didn't quite get it. I think Luton carried on with a little bit of momentum that they had. And they came out maybe looking like the brighter of the sides. But I still didn't necessarily feel threatened by them.
No. Yeah, I felt similar. I felt similar to that. There was... House had a very early chance, quite an early chance from a header. So I think Luton probably came out again with more possession, with more of the ball. But it was us that created that first real clear-cut chance. And it was a ball into the back post, and House was there, just couldn't head it into the net. I think he put it over the top, really, which is always one of them when I think, I don't think I could get it over the bar from there. It would be impossible, but it happens, doesn't it? But yeah, I think that they started with it kind of started as the first half finished, them having the ball, but us kind of nullifying that and having the real clear-cut chance.
Yeah, no, I think watching the highlights back, it is, especially the extended ones, it is all Lincoln. For the vast majority of those highlights, it is all Lincoln. Like the thing that we've said before multiple times, and I know it's one of Chris's favourite stats, is they can have all the possession in the world, but it doesn't matter if you're not pushing past that halfway line, if you're not getting the possession in dangerous areas. There was a question actually at the fans forum around possession, and is that a stat that we want to improve? And I think if you look at the game yesterday, I just want to get this right. According to the stats, Luton had 57% possession, and we've won the game 3-1.
Yeah.
So if they're going to dick about with the ball across their back four and their midfield, and we're pressing really high, if they have the ball for 30, 40 seconds and we nick the ball and then we score within 10, I'd much sooner have that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Possession with a purpose, isn't it? They always sort of term it as, don't they? And yeah, I think that it was in that second half. I think it was really down to Sonny Bradley. Should have made it 2-0. Should have made it 2-0, shouldn't he? I mean, excellent chance that fell to him in the box from
3 goals in his last 3 starts, and then the ball comes to him. He has to be fair, it's a really good touch to kind of make himself a little bit of space. I don't know how he's missed. No,
I wonder if the touch, he brought it down well, but whether it took it ever so slightly further away from, I don't know. He's blasted it and it's gone over the bar. I expected it to rip the net. One of those, you're so close. All you need to do is absolutely smash it, and the keeper's got no chance, regardless. You're that close to goal, but yeah, he put it over the bar, and that was a chance that should have been 2-0 at that point. And I think then, from kind of then on, I started to feel a little bit more nervous about our position in the game. Luton changed things tactically. Cohen Bramall, who we know fairly well, came on, and they switched to a more attacking style of play. They obviously they needed to get that equaliser, didn't they? So at that point, they were knocking at the door. I think again, it wasn't backs to the wall defending, but they were having that possession in more advanced areas. And like we said at the beginning of the podcast, they're not a bad team. So them having that kind of possession in those key areas, you do start to think they could create something. They've got the players, they've got the talent to create something. So yeah, I did start to get a little bit nervy in that period of the game.
Yeah, and I mean the nerves were probably justified on 77 minutes. When you watch the extended highlights back, I'm still not sure that it's a free kick. It's two players jostling for the ball. I don't think there's anything really in that, to be fair. But a free kick's given. I think Bramall was actually stood over the free kick, but as you pointed out, they tried to play a quick one. It finds its way to Clark, who it's a clever finish, but it's not got that much power to it. It reminded me slightly of Collins's goal, his second against Wigan.
Yes.
That kind of just that deft little touch to guide it in. But it felt at the time that it was possibly undeserved, but it was definitely a frustrating one to concede. There was just no pace on it, and it felt like they just walked it through us. But when you actually watch it back, it's a fairly clever free kick.
Yeah, it felt soft at the time to concede, and I think that's the one word I posted in our Stacey West group chat on WhatsApp when that went in, just the word soft. I do think we probably switched off from the free kick. It was a decent routine. They played it out to the edge of the 18-yard box, then fed it into Clark, who, like I say, finished it off into the bottom corner. So it was a nice move, but perhaps we were a little bit slow in reacting to that and coming out to the man at the top of the box and kind of putting pressure on him before he could release the pass into Clark. And yeah, the finish, on watching it live, I thought he scuffed that, and he's meant to put it across the box, and it's just trickled in. But actually watching it back, he's hit it with the outside of his boot, so he's obviously meant to do what he's done. But it did just seems to take ages to go in, trickled in, didn't it? Rolled over the line, and at 1-1, I thought, here we go, game on, because we've not this season, we haven't come from either come from behind or come from being level to win a game. We've always either held on or we've got a draw out of it. The opposition is equalised, so we've not done that yet. So here I'm thinking, do we have this in our locker? We know we can start fast and score goals. We know we can hang on, but what about when we concede? Can we pull it back from that point? And it was time for Justin Abikwu to come on at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's look at the timing of these subs, because 77 minutes, Jordan Clark scores. 80 minutes, Freddie Draper and James Collins go off for Frankie Okoronkwo and Justin Abikwu. And then 85 minutes, Justin Abikwu scores. I will be honest with you. When that goal went in, my here we go was a bit more, oh, here we go. It felt okay. This is how this week's going to end. Then, I mean, yeah, sure, I'll get 3 points in the prediction league because I said it was going to be 1-1, but it just felt at the time, I thought, oh, they didn't deserve that, and bugger it. But I mean, in the same way that we got undone by a long ball from a goalkeeper against Wigan the other week, Luton got undone by a long ball from a goalkeeper yesterday. Kind of cannoned off the defender into Justin Obikwu, who just spun away from his man. At the time, I thought he'd use his strength to kind of shove him off himself, but he looking back at the replay, like it bounces off him, and then he makes the turn and he sprints forward. I don't know how he's got that much power in the shot. What a finish that was!
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yeah, completely. It was, and I'll have to say as well, it was a long ball from Wickens, but we saw a couple from Wickens in the first half. Really great kicks from him. That set us off on some attacks, which was, great kicking from him yesterday. But yeah, long ball from him. Tom Hamer's come on as a sub at this point. We know that he's a good out ball for us on that right hand side. If we are going to go more, I won't say long ball. What do we call it? Front footed. If we are going to go more front footed and play a long ball, we know that Tom Hamer on that right hand side is most likely going to win those headers. He's an excellent out ball, which is absolutely what he did. Won the header, nodded it forward, and yet their defenders made a bit of a hash of it, really. He's sort of just fumbled it, not dealt with it at all. And that just, I think probably I talked about this in the Burton game, and I said that Obikwu came on, didn't really do much, but you could see from his frame, from his physique, and the little bit that he had to do was that sort of, he can use his body to cause a bit of chaos or that sort of thing. I think maybe the pressure he was putting on the defender at the time probably led to him making that mistake. And then, once the ball was at his feet, he was off. And like you say, what a finish. That excites me. That excites me to have a player like him that clearly can find the back of the net with a goal like that. How many times do you watch a player run one-on-one and they miss and you just think, oh, but you just absolutely buried it. To have a player like that can come off the bench when we need it is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, 2-1 up, I'm thinking, that's it.
Yeah.
This is going to finish 2-1. I'm going to get another correct score in the predictions league that I didn't know existed until just now. But I was expecting us to just shut up shop at that point, as we have done many, many times this season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Mr. Spooky here does say he gave the keeper the eyes and hinted far post, but he hit it sweetly near post. Yeah, it is exciting. And I mean, to be fair, I did speak to a Grimsby fan at work a couple of weeks ago when we signed Obikwu, and I said, what do you reckon? He said, oh, you're going to love him. So exciting times. Hopefully, we have a lone striker that knows where the back of the net is. Are you listening, Mr. Plange?
Great way to make a name for yourself, isn't it, Justin?
Yes, definitely is. So, I was kind of with you. I thought, there we go. That's it. Game over. Now we can shut up shop. Now we can do that. But that doesn't seem to be the way that Michael Skubala wants to play football when we are in the dying embers of a game and Luton are trying to pile forward and get something from it. Excuse me. I mean, it was this third goal. It's all about Ben House. He wins the ball, does really well, wins the ball in our half, has a really, really lovely 1-2 with Obikwu, and then gets to the edge of the box. And he's got options. In the middle, you've got Frankie Okoronkwo running through, and then you've also got Obikwu who's running through as well. He doesn't need either of them. He just decides to do what he did against Burton and slots it right across the keeper into the far post, far corner. Just it capped off a perfect afternoon for him, didn't it?
It certainly did. That goal, it epitomizes his performance, in my opinion. It just sort of packages up everything that he did well in that game into one nugget of action, one action nugget. Like you say, he was, that kind of pressing, that tenacity, that controlled aggression to win the ball back in our half. Lovely little 1-2 with Obikwu, and then he's off. Yeah, that running, that absolutely tireless running that he does, and the finish. I watched the extended highlights back. It was a lot further out than I kind of realised it was at the time. I sort of thought he was, into the area at that point, but no, he wasn't. He wasn't, and he, just placed it lovely in the bottom corner, left the goalkeeper scrambling. But I'm with you. I was also critical. I'm going to eat humble pie for the second time on this podcast. I was critical of Ben House last season. I was. I didn't think we were getting enough from him. With his injuries as well. I know they can't be helped, but I just didn't feel like we were getting anything from him. And then he came back in at the end of the season, and we saw in some of those key games where he was brought in to press and be that kind of, running about, applying the press role, and did that superbly against some of the top teams in the division. But was always thinking I'd like to see some more goals. This season, it looks like so far we've got both. We've got the pressing Ben House, we've got the running of Ben House, and he's finding the back of the net, and not just with tap-ins, right place, right time. Some beautiful goals. So he had a fantastic game yesterday. I gave him my man of the match. It was all going to be Freddie Draper until that second goal went in, and I couldn't not give it to House. I thought he was just a monster yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, it was between three for me. It was between Ben House, Freddie Draper, and eventually the man I gave it to, which was Conor McGrandles. I thought he was just all over the pitch yesterday. There's the old joke, isn't there? The earth's covered by the surface of the earth's covered 75% by water, the rest covered by Conor McGrandles. I think he was just everywhere yesterday, just fantastic. So there's two more things that I want to mention before we come on to the preview, because I know you've done a lot of work on the preview and I don't want that to go to waste. But the first one is, he's not here, but he's going to infect us with stats anyway. Chris has dropped a couple of stats in, so this is probably worth a mention. So in terms of duels yesterday between players, Lincoln won 70 of their duels, which was 58%. Luton only won 50, which was 42%. Ground duels we won 44, Luton 35, so that's 56 to 44%. And aerial duels, we won 26. And Luton won 15, which is 63% to 37. So the aggressive nature of our game, I think, probably paid off yesterday. And the thing that probably surprised most people is that we walked away with only one booking. And it wasn't Ben House.
No. And a booking that I kind of knew, because it was for Collins, wasn't it? In a bit of a 50-50 sliding on the wet turf. Yeah, I think that those stats as well, they just show us that they just show me that we were at it. We wanted that more than Luton. And that, I mean, you could see that in the way that we performed. We were first to everything. You could see that we were winning the duels, picking up the second balls, everything like that. We were doing, a yard quicker than they were. And the stats back it up. So that's nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then the other thing, I think we may need to put something to bed, Emily. Right. We may need to put to bed the argument that Seb Stockbridge is a bad referee.
He had a decent game yesterday.
He had a decent game yesterday. I know that the game,
but I can't forget, Ben.
Well, no, I know. I know the last time he came to the bank, I think Gary made the argument then as well. He said, he's turned himself around. He's got his life back together. He's on referee methadone or whatever it is to get himself out of the hole he was in. But there was two moments yesterday where I kind of thought, okay, he's got his shit together. The first one was there was a moment when I think Freddie got fouled and he'd played the ball out to James Collins. Collins was free and he was sprinting forward and it looked like it was a one-on-one. And the ref, he blew to bring the free kick back. Now, initially, my thought was, what are you doing that for? James Collins is free. He's on his way. But then you look across the pitch and the linesman got his flag up. So Collins was offside. So it was, you could see the thought process in real time where he goes, okay, there's a foul. He's free. Is he onside? He's offside. Right, I'm going to bring it back for the free kick. And that was genuinely really, really good refereeing. And then the second one, I think there was a foul on Freddie on the edge of the box. I can't remember the exact incident now, which is really annoying because I remember at the time going, "That's really good refereeing." But
the one that led to? Did it lead to? Did Bayliss have a free kick that hit the wall in the second half? Was it that one?
I think so. But yeah, there was 2 instances where I just thought, yeah, I think we can probably put this to bed now, Mr. Stockbridge. You are not quite forgiven, but we can at least not cringe when we see your name coming up in the list anymore. So.
Yes.
Walter says, sorry, one decent game doesn't make him a good ref. It's not his only decent game. He's had a couple now. Like, go back through the reports. I think Gary's eaten, 3 people on the podcast eaten humble pie. But yeah, I think he's
he had a good game. He had a decent game.
Yeah. By the same token, then, one decent game doesn't make him a good ref. Does one bad game make him a bad ref?
Yes.
Because arguably, he's had the one really bad game against us, which is when he sent Billy Knott off, and that's the one that sticks in our mind the most. So arguably, yeah, I don't know. Let's argue amongst yourselves in the comments about that. But let's wrap Luton up by saying it was just an excellent performance all round. And if we can carry that on to Tuesday, we've beaten one former
champions.
We've beaten one former Premier League side. Are we going to be able to beat a current Premier League side and the current world champions, Emily?
Wow, that'd be great. It'd be good, wouldn't it? It would be good. And I'll say this quietly on the podcast because I don't know how this goes down with our listeners. Chelsea's my second team, so I'm extra excited. I have to say, I haven't kept up with Chelsea much in recent years because, quite frankly, I can't actually keep track of what's going on there and what they are doing. But
I mean, when you've got a first team squad of like 90 players,
yeah, I will. I have been doing some research. So for listeners, this is me shuffling my papers with my research on it. So Chelsea, I'm traveling down from London from work, so I'm going to be on the Chelsea special, coming into Lincoln from London King's Cross in the evening on Tuesday, so that'll be fun. I won't wear my colours just in case I get harassed. So what to expect from Chelsea? It's a funny game to kind of preview because it's such an anomaly, really. Obviously they lost to Man United yesterday, but there's not a lot you can really take from that because I can't really see any of those players particularly featuring at all, if a little, in the game.
Well,
against
the keeper
us.
Definitely won't be featuring.
Well, no, their keeper won't be. No, he won't be. So maybe they'll play their Philip Jorgensen, their second choice keeper, or maybe even they'll go third choice at that point. Who knows? So I think the big debate is about who's going to line up for them. In their squad, they do have Reece James and Trevor Chalobah, who were in the Chelsea under-21s team that we beat to go to the Checkatrade Trophy final. So that's a nice little fun fact. Don't think we'll be seeing any of them, though. Their under-21s are playing the same evening. So people may read into that it could be a potentially quite strong team that Chelsea do put out there. However, they do have 24 named under-21 players, so they've always got 2 squads to pick from.
Oh, how the other half live!
I know. But what I've got some players to watch. So looking at their recent subs, people who've been on the bench that aren't getting a lot of first team minutes that we may or may not see on Tuesday. So I can run through a few of those for you. We have Jorrel Hato, who is a 19-year-old Dutch defender who signed from Ajax for £35 million. They've also got a player called Jamie Gittens, who is a winger that they signed from Borussia Dortmund for £48 million.
Of course.
Also, players that they have on their bench, Tyreeki George. He is a striker from their youth system. They've also got Samuel Raksaki, who is the brother of Raksaki, who was on loan at Charlton, I believe, and believe that we've also been linked with him previously. So that's his brother. And then names that people will have heard of, but they're not getting a lot of game time for Chelsea at the moment. Alejandro Garnacho. Obviously, he's come from Man United. £40 million signing for Chelsea. And then last but not least, I did cross him off my list yesterday because I saw that he did start against Man United, but given their sending off, they subbed their goalkeeper on for him. So he only got a matter of minutes. So he may feature, who knows, Estevao. He is an 18-year-old Brazilian wonder kid, I've got in my notes. Up to 50 million they paid for him. So so a few, players to look out for, players we might see, players we might not see. It's really difficult. I think Chelsea will play how they always tend to play. I don't think they're going to change their style of play for a different squad or coming to Lincoln or anything like that. They do like to use their wingers a lot, but that is normally when they're playing people like Mark Cucurella. And again, I don't think we'll be seeing the likes of him. They will have a lot of the ball and they will be playing out from the back. But that's not something that we're unused to, albeit on a very extreme scale with Chelsea. So I think our press is going to be really important, and we're going to have to press well, like we know we can do, and that might give us some opportunities to get something out of the game. Skabala talked about picking a team to win, so I expect to see some changes in our squad there as well. I think it could be an opportunity for Ivan Varfolomiev and also maybe Eric Ring. It's not going to be your typical physical League One tie, is it? It's not going to be all kind of rough and tumble and physical. So that might suit their style of play more, the kind of the European lads, if it's all right to call them that. It might suit them a little bit better. And also, Chelsea do look vulnerable from what I've seen of them, of balls in the box. They don't seem to cope with balls into the box very well. And they did concede from a long throw against Brentford last weekend. So we know we've got one of those. So,
yes. So this actually brings me on to a question that we've had in the Discord from Paul, or Paulus in the Discord. He says, is Hamer a shoo-in for a shirt on Tuesday? Looking for small margins, set pieces are going to be vital, and our long throws will potentially break up play and concern them. That said, Jackos were a threat yesterday and created a good couple of chances. So similarly, does Reach play for set pieces or Towler for defensive strength? How do we see this one going? Because I think, and I know it's incredibly Route One thinking, but I think Tom Hamer starts on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. I think that long throw is going to be a threat. And Jacko he's excellent in the air. Long ball over the top, ball into the box. He's going to, 9 times out of 10, he's winning that header. And that other 1 time out of 10 will be Sonny Bradley winning it.
Yeah.
But I don't see Chelsea playing that way. I don't see them lumping the ball forward and Jacko having to do a big header from the back, So maybe Hamer, who's maybe got a little bit more pace and also can be a threat with that long throw. I think really we've got to press them. We've got to press them well, and we've got to take advantage of our dead balls. That sounds really obvious, but they are vulnerable from set pieces and balls into the box, and we're good at those. So if we can get that right, who knows, Ben? I'm getting excited. Optimistic Emily.
Look, I mean, we do say when we come to preview like cup games on the podcast that there's only so much that we can do to preview them, because then there isn't an element of form, that it's a cup game. We've seen it happen. Look at our neighbours down the road. Grimsby have beaten Man United and Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, admittedly, they beat a very poor Sheffield Wednesday team in front of a crowd that outnumbered the away fans, outnumbered the home fans 2-1. But we know full well what a cup run can bring. We know full well, what can happen in cup games. Who knows? Like it's going to be it's a roll of the dice on Tuesday night, isn't it? It could well be that that they bring in a full strength first 11. But the interesting thing, and I think we've had this conversation with a couple of people over the past few days around this competition in particular, it's taken seriously by Premier League teams who aren't necessarily going to be in the Champions League, and League One teams and League Two teams. Championship teams do not care about this competition because the prize money is awful and they're not going to win it. So what happens is you get the League One, League Two teams that you think, okay, if we have a bit of a run, we can get a big team at home or a big team away. We'll split the gate receipts. We might get on telly. We'll have a bit of a payday. Do you know how much Grimsby got for beating Sheffield Wednesday?
Tell me, I don't know.
15 grand.
Oh, it's disappointing.
15 grand in prize money, apparently. So it's not like it's a big money spinner, but it's good for the gate receipts. It's good for merchandise sales. It's good for everything outside of the game itself. It's a good night for the fans, I think, more than anything else. So if we can, if we can spring a surprise, then I'm pretty sure we'll all be absolutely buzzing for the rest of the month.
Yeah, completely. It's a sellout, isn't it? So that's going to be let's make it absolutely rocking. Let's bring Chelsea to Sincil Bank and show them what we can do as a fan base, as well as a team. I mean, I remember when we played Liverpool in the COVID season. Jurgen Klopp didn't even bother coming, did he? No. And we got thumped. We got thumped. I feel like we're in a better place now.
Oh, 100%.
So
100%.
I'd. Yeah, I mean, who knows? It's a good. It'll be a fun evening nonetheless. It'll be one that'll live long in the memory. People will be talking about it. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. All you want is a big draw, and we've only gone and bloody got one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So right, we'll run through a couple of ones here just before we go because we are running over, I think now. But Paul says, "How much do we get from Sky?" I don't know. Is the honest answer on that one? I think we would have got more if it was on Wednesday and on ITV. I think we would have got substantially more from the TV money on that one. And how much do we think Tuesday will bring? Honestly, I don't know. Like, I think the main thing is around the game. It's not necessarily if we win the game we get a ton of money. It's just it's
I saw I did was it it might have been Alan Long or one of the liaison officers' accounts on Twitter posted something about the game yesterday saying we've got 150 brand new fans in the stadium today, and I just thought yeah. But if
it all helps.
If someone's buying a bronze membership because they want to watch Chelsea play, okay, cool.
All it takes is somebody buys a bronze membership for Chelsea, right? They use that to come to a couple of games, and then they enjoy those games, and then they get a shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an extra 50 quid that the club might not have got elsewhere. It all helps. Like it's just a big thing for any smaller club to get a decent draw. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. It's it hasn't sunk in just yet, I think, but it probably will do when we start to see the ground filling up on Tuesday night. But right, one more thing that we have to do before we disappear is, of course, give our glorious leader a bit of let's give him his flowers. So Gaz and Chris Ray have spent the weekend running because Gaz runs. And they've run an awful lot. Let me see if I can find out just how far he has done.
When you say he
Um,
spent all weekend running, almost quite literally.
oh yeah,
All
they've
was
run for
weekend.
24 hours consecutively.
Yeah.
Like between the two of them, they've done like a relay race at I think it's a thing called Equinox. But yeah, absolutely fair play to Gary, and he hurt himself as part of it. 120k in 24 hours they've done between the two of them. Gaz did 50k and Chris did 70k.
Wow. Wow. That is an incredible achievement.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
incredible.
It's mad, and he even went full kit in the final lap that he did,
Good on
which
him.
is
Well done, Gaz. We're all very proud.
yeah, phenomenal effort, mate. Really, really, genuinely well done. And go and rest your leg so that you can feel a little bit less painful going forward. But
Yeah.
I think that's probably it, Emily, because we're an hour
Indeed.
and 15 in now on the YouTube. We've had a good little break and a natter with our live viewers. So yeah, I think there's only one thing left to say, and that is, of course, up the imps.
Up the imps.